My name is Melissa Levesque, and I've served on the board of directors for Brighter Tomorrows for the past 6 years. I've enjoyed my time, and I've enjoyed being able to help others who have been victims of domestic violence. I'm a survivor, and it makes a big impact that there are people supporting the victims that are still out there. So I was involved in a relationship, my first marriage, with an abuser. And as I mentioned, I'm a survivor. So for 10 years, I lived with a man who claimed to be my husband. And it was such a gradual thing that happened with the abuse. It started out emotionally and then verbally, and eventually ended up being physical. And I actually had resources at my disposal. I had parents nearby. I had a great support system. I had gotten my education, and I had a decent job. However, that didn't prevent me from being a victim of domestic violence. And I realized, there are people out there that don't have all of those things, and they're experiencing domestic violence as well. What I wish people knew in general is that it can happen to anyone. There is no socioeconomic group that is more susceptible than any other. Abusers don't care. You're a victim to their cruelty, to the sexual assault. It can happen anywhere. We need to educate. We need to be aware. We need to help. We need to understand. The thing that I think is hardest for people to understand is, why don't they just leave? When you're talking about domestic violence itself, why don't they just leave? And the average is 7 times before someone leaves. In my case, it was 3, but there's just no discrimination when it comes to domestic violence. It can happen to anyone, and the same with the sexual assault. It's a bright haven for people in the community. It's a place for scared, shattered families to go, to get counseling, to get therapy, to get a safe roof over their head, to get food, to get legal help. It just offers the victims of domestic violence and sexual assault a place to go to get assistance. And it's a necessity in any community. Because it's happening in your community. And if you don't have something like a Brighter Tomorrows in your community, that's a huge loss for those people that are suffering from domestic violence or sexual assault. I would say that there is hope. There is hope for you. Take advantage of places like Brighter Tomorrows. When towards the end of my 10 years with my abuser, I actually decided I needed marriage counseling because I thought our marriage was bad. And it took that step for me. I was going to marriage counseling by myself. But it took that step for me to realize I'm not in a bad marriage. I'm not at fault. I am with an abusive person, and they are trying to control me and control my life. And through that counseling, it gave me hope. It seems like a dark, hard road, and I'm not going to say that it was easy financially, physically, emotionally, but there is hope, and you can survive, and you can become a survivor, and that's where I want you all to be. To get involved with sexual assault and domestic violence as a supporter of the victims, there are many ways to volunteer. Obviously, financial support is always useful, but there are many other ways. For Brighter Tomorrows, we have several resale shops. You can volunteer at the resale shop. You can give away your gently used clothes, home goods, furnishings. That is a great way for us to raise money to support the agency's continuation. You can give of your time. You can do fundraisers. I know in my past, my sisters and I, one Christmas, we did a coat fundraiser for a shelter because those families are in need, and many times they leave their home with just the clothes on their back, and that is all. So the needs are great for the survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault, and there's a number of many things you can do. I'd encourage reaching out to our volunteer line at Brighter Tomorrows and call and find out what's available, because there's something that would fit everyone. North Texas Day of Giving coming up. I would encourage those who maybe aren't committed to a specific organization to consider Brighter Tomorrows. We have constant needs year round. There's always something new that comes up. COVID threw a big monkey wrench into our fundraising efforts. And so being able to host events we really had to stop doing events for about 2 years because of COVID. But I would encourage you to look at our organization. We are helping so many people. The statistics are there. And if you don't have a charity of choice, please consider donating to Brighter Tomorrows. It will help make somebody else's brighter tomorrow.